What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes, always delivering the big names. Kayla Harrison joins us now on the program. She's going to be fighting Aspen Ladd, not Julia Budd, Aspen Ladd at PFL 10 2023 PFL Championship. Now, remember, this is a pay-per-view. They start off with the prelims, and then they move to a pay-per-view portion. Got to get it. 6 title fights, a lot of featured bouts, including our guest, and it's only $49.99. It should be a banger. It's on November 24th, Black Friday. Welcome back, Kayla. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right. A lot of fighters don't like these last minute switches. It frustrates them, it pisses them off. Others go with the flow. Where do you sit with this?
It don't matter. Anytime, any place, anywhere, anyone. I'm in the zone.
Yeah, do you see it as a tougher matchup, a more intriguing matchup? And you know, how do you compare the two, I guess?
I just think it's just a really different matchup. You know, you look at stylistically, Julia Budd is much different. They have two different styles, Julia and Aspen. Julia is former champ. Aspen was kind of like a rising star. Julia's a little bit older, maybe on her way out. Aspen's, trying to build up and make a name and a future for herself. One's a grappler, one's a striker. Like they're just super different.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you, you're going to get asked this a lot, and probably by our junkie team over there, and about coming off the loss and all that stuff. I don't want to worry about the athletic side. I want to focus on how did you appreciate the time off as a mom, as Kayla Harrison, not the athlete, the person?
I loved it. And I hated it. I loved it because for the first time, I didn't have a fight and I didn't have a goal and I didn't have a pressing thing. And so I kind of didn't have a way to distract myself from sitting still and getting quiet and figuring out who I really am. And I loved it because my focus shifted from me to my children, where it should be, and helped me realize just how precious and amazing life is. And do you know what the most amazing thing to me after I lost, it was like, everyone sending me, cheer up or whatever. And I came home and then my kids gave me a hug or whatever. Or my kids were there with me actually. So after the fight, my kids gave me a hug and then we came home and I asked my mom, how's Kayla? Like, is she upset? Is she okay? And she was like, no, she just loves you and she doesn't care. And I asked my daughter's therapist, I was like, how is she doing? Like, and she was like, she just said, yeah, we went to New York. We ate pizza. My mom had a fight. We came home, and it kind of hit me that like, dude, my kids don't care if I win or lose. Like, they don't care if I have a good day at the gym or a bad day at the gym or if I'm the greatest of all time. Like, they just want me to be their mom and love them. And I do. And that kind of changed and shifted my whole perspective on my life, my worth, and who I am. And once I made that shift, life got a whole lot better. My peace, my joy, my sanity have just all sort of grown exponentially in these last 10 months, 12 months. And we have a lot of fun. My life is full of abundance and just like craziness and chaos and joy. It's good. My life is so good. And I'm grateful for the time off because it helped me grow. It helped me heal and it helped me become a better mother to my children. And I'm super grateful to have a fight because at the end of the day, it's what I love to do. It's what makes me tick. It's the burning desire I have in my heart. So all is well and it's good. Life is good.
Certainly. I follow you on Instagram and you guys do go hard, man, especially on Halloween. You guys really went strong on Halloween. And I wanted to ask you because might sound corny, but Tito Ortiz dressed up as Tito Ortiz. I thought, what the hell are you doing, bro? Like, let someone else dress up as you. But how about you? Like, do your kids see you? I mean, because you're all over television and everywhere. You're a superstar in our sport. Did they always see you kind of as a superhero as well? Were you able to, I guess, break the two up when you got home? Was it different?
Yeah,
What's your relationship in
no.
that regard?
No, they're not like, they don't think I'm like, I think my son like doesn't think that at all, but my daughter, it's hard because she's getting to that age where like she's a preteen and she has independence, but then like, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, dude, do you even, she has a lot of friends, she's got a great life, and I'm like, hey, do you even like hanging out with me anymore? Like, I'm a cool mom, right? Like, I'm cool. And I'll be like, man, I don't know. And then, but then we'll go to school, or we'll go talk to them. And someone will be like, oh, Kyla told us you have a fight and you're going to kick butt and you're this and you're that. And I was like, oh, she does think I'm cool. She just doesn't say it to me. Okay, cool. But yeah, I think that they don't like, we don't even watch TV, so they don't care.
Did you go long blocks of time during this time off where you didn't go to the gym, and was that therapeutic, or did you still manage to get in there a lot even though, like you said, you didn't have a fight planned or
No,
scheduled?
I took about a month off after I took the last month of 2022 off. Um, and then I was back to the gym training, and I shifted it. So like I would only train once a day. So I would wake up, take my kids to school, and then I would go to the gym, come home, and then pick the kids up. And then in the evenings I had off, and we just were a family and did family things. And we also had a ton of fun trips. Like we went camping for spring break. We've just done a lot of fun little adventures. We went to New York City. We went on a cruise for one of my sponsors. So we just been, yeah, I still trained every day and got better and slowly developed. But I didn't put my body through the grind of training twice a day. And I also freed up that mental space and time to be a mom.
I was going to send it to Goes, but I got to ask the follow up. You got my curiosity. You went camping. And earlier today, I happened to scroll through Instagram, and it was funny because it was some guy that said, hey, look what happened to me. I guess he had woken up in his tent. He unzipped it, and there was a big black bear or something like that in front of him. And he came sniffing around. But how about you? Are you a natural outdoors person? What was the camping like? Or is this something that's new to you?
No, we love camping. So I used to go camping all the time as a kid, and then I haven't been in years. So our first camping trip as a family this year, I'll call it, it was more like glamping. We actually flew to New York. We were in upstate New York. Um, and we stayed in an Airstream camper, it's like a little RV. And it was so nice. But I also realized that I'm batshit crazy as I was doing it, because it was still very cold up in upstate New York for spring break, and there was snow everywhere. And,
Wow.
One of the rules of being a mom is that anything that can go wrong probably will go wrong. And all of your best laid hopes and intentions are usually with not the ideal circumstances. So we're flying in, we're landing, and my son projectile vomits all over the plane. And then I'm holding the puke in my hand. Then we got to get in the rental car, and we got to drive the hour and a half to where we're camping up in the mountains. And it's just me and the kids. I didn't go with a crew. I just was like, no, we're going to do this as a family. And then we get there, it's fine. The next day my daughter throws up. So like all these plans I had, we ended up just like going on little nature walks every day and building fires and making our dinner, making our food, and hanging out as a family. And we still had an absolute blast. And then the next time we went camping, we went tent camping with our friends, my Coach Mako, his wife, and their kids. And it was so fun. I had so much fun, just like The kids had so much fun having their friends there. And I like camping because camping is the activity. Like, you show up and then you have to set up camp and you have to make your food and you have to, like, there's a lot that needs to be done. So that's the activity. And like, if the kids want to go play or like go look for whatever, like, they have friends that they can do it with. But I love camping. I love being outside. I'm outside, I have a tan like year round because I'm outside in the garden or with the animals, or my kids are outside every day doing something. The other day, my son had he had my water hose, like an old, like, tube of something, spray paint, and like something else. And he was building like a rocket. And I was like, how did you even come up with this? Like, but they're just outside and so am I.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
good time with water hoses back in the day too. There's all kinds of stuff you can,
Yeah.
all kinds of trouble.
Oh,
We
yeah.
enjoy interviewing you because we can always talk X's and O's, but the part that I think that ends up with us after the interview when we hang up with you is up here, right? The way you process things, I think, is very interesting. Can you
Mm.
maybe share with us expectations going into things, because you've done so much with Olympics, with MMA? How do you
Mm.
manage the expectations versus what actually plays out in the scenario? Can you explain that to us?
Do you mean my own personal expectations?
Yeah.
It's a great question. I think realistically, as I've gotten older, and maybe a little bit more wise, I've stopped having expectations, or tried to. When I was younger, I think it was very easy to, I even remember the very first time I fought Pacheco, actually, I cried after the fight because I had gone to a decision with her, and that is just not what I expected. Like, I expected to go in and dominate and be, you know, and I was crying and I was so disappointed in myself, and then everyone made fun of me online for crying and being disappointed in myself. And I kind of realized over the years that, like, even in sparring today, right? Like, I was sparring and I have a sudden opponent change and I am supposed to have this specific thing. And then when my sparring partner wasn't doing what she's going to do, I was kind of like, well, why the hell aren't you doing what she's supposed to do? Like, well, now what am I going to? And I realized, like, that's an expectation in my head. Like, you got to just be in the zone. You got to be in the flow. You got to go. Like, you can't hold on to something in your, like, that doesn't exist. So I've learned to give myself grace. I've learned to not lower my expectations, but I think just like control the controllable and go out. And I prepared properly. I've prepared my mind. I've prepared my body. I've been disciplined. I've done the hard things. I have a great team around me. I'm supported. I'm loved. I'm in a great space. And my my goal is to go out there and shine and to be the best version of me that night. Now, do I expect it? I hope for it. Like, I just don't, if I expect to go out and like win by rear naked choke in the first round and then it doesn't happen and then I lose my cool, like, it's just a subtle mind shift where I went from having all this pressure on myself to living in the moment, living in the now. And when I do that, I have so much more peace and I'm able to also, I think, be a better version of me, be a better version of me as a mom, as a fighter. When I get worried or anxious about the future, I'm not in the now. And then I take that out on my kids, or I have, I'm like tense or I'm rude. And instead of just being here now, like, there's nothing to be tense or rude about. Life is good. Right now, I'm having a great conversation about my upcoming fight and what I've been up to in the last 10 months. And, I just had some yummy food from my chef and life is good. Like, focus on the good. That's what I do. I just keep focusing on the good and the good gets better.
Let's talk a little bit more about the good. We've heard of the Kayla Harrison effect within your gym, and how your structure, your mentality has rubbed off on other fighters. Can you
Oh,
maybe share somebody who has had that same effect on you?
ooh. I mean, easily for me, that my mind automatically jumps to the Pedros, Jimmy and Big Jim. They helped shape me into the person I am today. They're Big Jim is like the tough love, and Jimmy was really like the positive attitude, the mindset, the like go get 'em attitude. And together they sort of created a monster in me, but they were my role models, you know, and I think even now at the gym, there are a ton of fighters who I look up to and who I want to be like when I grow up. You know, I think it's just a great place. American Top Team is such an amazing atmosphere. It's humbling to walk through those doors every day and get to train on the mats with the people I get to train with and the coaches I get to train with. And I'm just one of those few people who are super blessed and like I get to do what I love every day around really cool people. So
Kayla, what about you've been competing your entire life in something.
do you hear that?
Yeah. I think
It's
our
my
dog is hearing it too, and he's kind of like looking around.
like one of my roosters. Sorry about that.
No
It
worries.
like threw me off for a second. I was like, go back down to the barn.
You've
saying?
been competing in some form in almost your entire life. When you see Aspen Ladd, have you gotten to the point where when you look into her eyes, you can kind of, or not, maybe not just her, but in general, your opponents, can you kind of figure out where they're at or what they're thinking just based off of that look?
Yeah, sometimes. For sure. Sometimes. I think that 90% of communication is nonverbal, and how you carry yourself says a lot. And but again, I'm not really thinking about what she's thinking about or where her mind's at. Like my focus is on me and my preparation and my attitude and my skills and my will. I just don't spend a ton of time reading into her or what she's going to do. Because what happens if Aspen Ladd all of a sudden can't fight and then I have another opponent change? You know, like there's no point in me focusing on that. Like I can't control it. So I have to just focus on me.
The rest that you had, was it better for the mind, the body, or the soul if you had to pick one?
My soul was good for my soul, for sure. I needed it. I needed it and I didn't even know, you know, and that's why God is good, because he knows what we need even when we can't put words to it. I had spent my entire life chasing love, chasing being worthy of love, being worthy of attention, trying to be perfect. You know, 1 gold medal wasn't enough. I had to go get another. $1 million wasn't enough. I had to go get another. 1 world title wasn't, I was chasing this idea of like, maybe then it'll be enough. Maybe then it'll be enough. Maybe then I'll feel worthy. And it never worked. It never worked. Like I never felt satisfied. I never felt happy. I never felt at peace. I never felt loved. And I needed to get still, and I needed to learn how to love myself and to believe that I'm worthy of love no matter what I do or who I am, and that I am a beautiful child of God with inherent worth and value. I needed that. So I'm grateful.
Nice. Well, thank you for the time today. Sucks about the opponent change. One thing I know about Olympians, nothing stops them. You guys are like a freight train just going downhill.
Right.
And
Right.
I imagine that the performance will be just as good against Aspen Ladd, a worthy opponent, just like Julia Budd. We look forward to it. And thank you as always for your time.
Thank you, guys.